Hello everyone. In this video, I'll be showing how easily we can leverage OCI Gen AI and 23 AI database with Oracle Integration Cloud Orchestration. In order to do that, I will be walking you through a solution I'm calling as Product Review Insight. So the challenge that we are addressing here is today's e-commerce platforms, they generate thousands of customer reviews, but business struggle to extract actionable insights quickly. So in this solution, we have transformed raw unstructured feedback into real-time structured insights that maybe product managers or customer service team can act on immediately. Now at a high level, reviews can come from various sources. And with Oracle Integration Cloud, we can connect directly to e-commerce data sources. There are dedicated adapters for Shopify, SAP, of course, Oracle Commerce, and many more. Or it can retrieve customer reviews out of email. Or maybe you already have the reviews ingested to a single source like database, and OIC can fetch it from there. So it got the reviews, and what is done next is send them to OCI Generative AI to process them and consolidate and extract key points. And once that is done, you can store that structured results, that consolidated review in our Oracle Database 23 AI, which will further let you leverage vector search capabilities or any other downstream processing. Right, so as you can probably think by now, there are so many possibilities and options and many ways to achieve this. There are agentic AI out there. You can configure tools in your Gen AI calls as well. Honestly, you can do a lot, build a very robust and complex solution. However, in my solution, I would show you a very simple yet a very productive way of doing it. So in my case, the raw unstructured reviews are in a 23 AI database in a CLOP column. OIC will pull those reviews and then send them to a pre-trained OCI Gen AI model with appropriate prompt, and then get back a consolidated insight out of all those reviews, right, along with the top issues and top strength per product. And then store it back to database, but in this time it is storing it in a JSON column to make the downstream process or any further retrieval even easier. And at the end of processing, it sends a notification with the crisp information that business needs to know. So this solution basically is about transforming raw unstructured feedback into structured insights, but there are a few key points that we would actually talk about while we do the walkthrough. First, the ease of embedding OCI Gen AI into the existing business process or orchestration. It also demonstrates how Oracle Gen AI and 23 AI can work together for practical high-impact outcomes. And last but not the least, our solution concludes by storing the insights in database, but I would encourage you to think about leveraging the database's vector search capabilities for first retrieval and deeper trend analysis or any other process or product improvement that you can do out of that data. Okay, so now before I show you the OIC code, let me show you first how my data looks like from which OIC will be reading the reviews, right? This is the table, right, where I have all my reviews ingested. These are all customer reviews in plain text that I have ingested in this review text column. And as you can see, this table holds right now reviews for three different product ID, as you see. So one is the vacuum cleaner and one is a headphone and the third one is a blender grinder. So this is the table I will be querying from OIC to get the review data that will be sent to the GenAI to analyze. And this is the another table that I have created, which is for holding the record, the consolidated review once I receive the result from the GenAI. So this has columns like the result payload, top issues, top strength. Okay, so we will see how the table looks like after we run the integration, right? We'll come back here. Now let's go to the GenAI playground here, right? Let's decide which model we are going to invoke from OIC, how the prompt should look like, and before we actually invoke it from OIC, this is what I prefer to do, right? Play around with the prompt with some sample data, see how the result looks like, then play a little bit with the parameters, and then decide exactly what parameter option, what prompt I want to call the model with my data, and then configure the same thing from OIC. Right, so what I chose to do is to use this Meta Llama 3.3 70 billion instruct model. And if you need to know the detail of the model, you can find it over here. You click on the model list over here, you get the documentation about all the models that are available right now, the Cohere models, the Meta models, all of that. I have this prompt that I was working before ready to be used, and let's see how the output looks like, right, when I use this prompt. So this is sort of a preamble text that I am sending to the model. I'm sending it that you are an AI assistant which analyzes customer product review, and what I am telling it is that your task is to consolidate the reviews across all reviews and find out top 3 issues that customer is facing, top 3 strength the customer appreciate, right? And along with that, of course, I will send some review data. Okay. So here, as you see, it has been able to identify the top 3 issues and the top 3 strength, and it is summarizing all of that pretty well. All good. But I would say if I get this response back in OIC, it is still kind of unstructured for me, right? Because then I have the task to parse it, and we'll have to again figure out how to process this data. Instead, maybe what I want is a more structured format, maybe a JSON format, and let's see if I give a more specific instruction if it is able to do that or not, right? So let me modify the prompt a little more. And I'm giving the exact same data to it, the review data. Okay, much better, right? So if you see this time when I sent the prompt, what I also told it to do is that return the result strictly invalid JSON with the exact structure as below, right? I gave it a JSON structure and I asked it to strictly return only in this JSON structure so that I have a proper tag associated with the data, and that way it is easier for me to extract or process the actual value. It is much more structured for me than the previous response, right? So I will be using this prompt from my OIC, and I will also be using this model. Okay, and for now I'm keeping the parameter as is. I'm not changing it much. So this is my integration. I have created it as a scheduled integration, and the plan is like it will run on its own every day. Maybe it will extract the reviews for that day that has been ingested, and then it will consolidate, find the issues, find the strength, basically automate the whole process of consolidating the reviews and sending a notification to the people concerned. I'll not go through the whole entire flow. You might be pretty familiar about the basic OIC constructs, right? So here what I'm doing, I'm invoking product list, I'm finding all the products that's in the table, and I am basically doing this GenAI call for per product. Those are the processing and mapping, all of that I'm doing over here to get the data from the database. What I'll focus on for this demo is on this action over here, right? So we have this OCI generative AI action right in the component palette over here. Previously, you had to create a REST connection and call the GenAI REST API, but now you can just drag and drop it over here, and then you are good to go once you configure that. So once you drag this action over here, these are what you need to configure. So it will ask you for a region. For me, I chose Chicago, and then the compartment name. The compartment name should be the compartment where your OIC is running. And then you give the model name, which is the generic for me. So here you have option of two different model, generic and cohere. I'm using the llama model, which comes up under the generic, right? So generic it is for me. And then I have chosen the same model that I used in the playground, which is the 3.370 billion instruct model. Okay, so once you choose all of that, that's pretty much it. Okay, and one thing to mention here, there is one prerequisite for you to use this GenAI action inside your OIC, that you will have to configure a policy. So basically you will have to create a dynamic group for your OIC instance and give that instance access to all the GenAI family artifacts, right? And I will put that policy in the description box. So once you configure this GenAI, give your model ID over here, this map gets generated, and this is where you can pass rest of the parameters and your text. So as you see, all of these parameters has been configured for your GenAI call. And now what this parameter means, how it comes, where it comes from, all of that. So let me quickly show you the documentation for that. So if you go for this generative AI inference documentation, right? So if you go to the chat model, so as I was mentioning before, we had to call a REST API to call the GenAI model, right? So that is the inference part of the REST API. And here, if you go to the chat details, you will see the detailed description of how the chat request body should look like. So you see the compartment ID, it is a mandatory field, and that is what the OIC will automatically fetch once you give the compartment name in your drop down while configuring the GenAI action. So that is already done for us. you will have to provide a serving mode. Serving mode values can be one of these. So I will be giving this one as serving mode. That is also a mandatory parameter, right? And then if you go to the base chat request, over here, the generic chat request and the cohere, they have slightly different structure. That's why there is two. So for me, I'll go to the generic chat request. And again, here you will be able to see the detail of all the parameters or attributes that has been populated automatically. OIC, right? So the API format, that is again a mandatory field, and the required value for the generic chat request, it is generic. So this is another thing we will have to pass in the GenAI call. Rest, pretty much everything else is optional. So this max token, presence penalty, these are all the things you will probably play with, figure out what is working best for you, what is giving you the most desired output. The temperature, if you remember, all of these are also available, especially the temperature, the top K, top P, these are all available in the playground also, right? So you can figure it out from there what to pass, but none of them are actually mandatory. One more parameter which is mandatory and which is kind of obvious, that is the role. Okay, so the role can have one of these value. So you will have to pass a role to this chat request. Okay, and then if you go to the content, you will see the chat content, and here you see the type is also a required field. So you put whether it is a text or an image, right? Like what else you are passing as the chat content. So yeah, let's go back to OIC mapping. As you see, I was mentioning the serving type, we are passing it as on demand. And then in the messages, we are passing the role, we are passing the content, obviously. So I'm passing the instruction over here, and also I'm passing the actual data. And as you see, the type is text. The type was a mandatory, so type is text for both. And in the text, actually, for the second one, it is my data. So it is coming from the actual query output, right? This is where I was querying the table to get all the review text, and that is what I'm passing in the text. And that is another text I passed before that, which is basically the preamble, right? So yeah, that is how you pass all the parameters to your GenAI query, and that's it. It is that easy. And then there is some logger, and then I am reading the JSON and then processing some JSON, and at the end I am actually doing another invoke, which is to insert the result in my review consolidated table, right? So basically it is another ATP adapter invoke, and that is how I am inserting the result in the table. And at the end, I am sending a notification, all the summary of the review that has been extracted and consolidated. That's pretty much it on my flow. Now let me activate and run it and show you how it looks like. So as you see, it has completed 2 iterations. So it should do 3, right? Because I have 3 product and I am doing the call per product. Okay, it's completed. So let's take a quick look at one of the iteration. So as you see, it is first getting the product review from the table, and then it is invoking the GenAI. So this is my GenAI call where it is doing get consolidated review. And if I open that one over here, you can see this is how the request payload looks like, the one that we are sending to the model, GenAI model, right? So this is the text and the instruction that I have sent. I'm asking it to send the result back as a JSON, and this is all the reviews. It's just all the reviews for a particular product. I did not format it, categorize it, or anything. I just grabbed it from the database and sent it as is. And these are the few parameters that we had to pass, right? API format as generic, all of that. So yeah, and then I have logged the result to see, and as you see, this is what the GenAI model is returning me. So it is returning just this JSON, right? With the exact tag that I asked it to use. So this is the consolidated inside, and inside that it has the top issues and the top strength. So now let's take a look at the database. The goal is that in one of the field, I'm entering the whole JSON, and then I'm also grabbing this JSON arrays and putting it in separate column. So if I go back here and query this table again. Okay, so I have 3 reviews for these 3 products, and this is what the whole payload looks like. I decided to keep the whole payload, the JSON, as is in case I choose to do something with it later. But I also have these top issues, right? JSON array over here, and then the top strength for this particular one, like this. So that when I send a notification, it is just, easier to grab this data. And all of those reviews, it is just summarizing and consolidating, crisp and clear. Yeah, so okay, so that's all I had for this video. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you think. If you think there is a better way, easier way of doing it, let me know in the comment. I would love to hear that. Thank you.